New literacy studies have had a huge influence on the way universities use technology and encourage their students to engage in digital literacy practices. New literacies explains a shift in the way literacies are now used and understood. Parl and Roswell discussed that literacy is no longer recognised simply as a skill set, something we learn, like reading and writing, but instead as a social practice, acknowledging how and when these literacies are used in day-to-day lives. This is especially relevant to higher education settings, as often students will have exhausted their motivations for using old literacies and are ready for a new challenge to discover more complex ways literacies can be and are used and applied. Applying this idea of challenging previous mindsets with the introduction of new ones links to Lancashire Enable's discussion of emerging and evolving mindsets. Upon exploring emerging mindsets, Lancashire Enable addressed the idea of tension between the old mindset and the new mindset, often referred to as Web 1 and Web 2. Radovanovich et al. Have also discussed the issue of tensions arising around old and new literacies, specifically in higher education, creating what they call a digital divide. They discuss that students in universities in Serbia can feel fed up and frustrated by the technologies on offer, wanting the access to more challenging options, suggesting they are of a Web 2 mindset, whereas faculty departments can feel out of touch and as though they cannot keep up with these technological advancements, reflecting more of a Web 1 mindset. However, Lee counteracts this point by presenting the idea that it is the students, especially first-year university students, who can feel overwhelmed and confused as to how they use complex systems to locate academic information, which could create barriers to new literacies being used and understood to their full potential. There are clearly some conflicting viewpoints of understanding how successfully higher education institutions integrate the use of new literacies. One way to evaluate the university's perceived role in this is to explore their academic guidelines surrounding digital literacy. Sheffield Hallam discussed that their students will have a grasp on the challenges which may be faced whilst living in the digital age, both for learning and for working. This first section of the guidelines can be analysed using Balile's approaches to digital literacy. He discusses three approaches: functional literacy, literacy as a socio-cultural practice, and literacy as an intellectual empowerment. I would argue that this section of the guidelines addresses functional literacy, as it appears to be preparing students to go out into the world prepared for further study and for work, making students more employable, therefore with a functional purpose. Successfully completing a degree and reaching the aforementioned graduate guidelines now requires a certain level of digital literacy knowledge upon beginning the course. This knowledge can assist in many different areas, including communication with staff and students through social media, university email, and online portals. Butte goes further to discuss the importance of integrating digital literacy, specifically social media, into the higher education and academic world. She discusses that thanks to digitalisation, it is far easier for academics and institutions alike to share knowledge and research findings across the world. Addy and Scott support this by suggesting that universities are knowledge producing and knowledge sharing systems, which are now able to utilise and share this knowledge in a fundamentally different way to the past, thanks to new technologies and literacies such as Twitter. This could also address issues of accessibility. Some may claim that such a reliance on technology and digital literacies could create a barrier to those who are not able to gain such access. However, I would argue that digital literacies in higher education in fact go away to reduce these barriers. Firstly, all staff and students now have access to a wide range of resources and texts, both online and physical copies, thanks to university libraries which have embraced the digital age. Another example is the use of social media at academic conferences. Live tweeting and post-conference blogs can give academics and students who are not in attendance of the conference a similar experience to the delegates at the conference, as the networking and learning they may have previously missed out on can now be replicated online. JISC also claimed that this access to others' knowledge and capacity for networking is an advantage of universities going digital, discussing it can help development by offering access to a global network of peers where you can share learnings, expertise and resources. Access to this large network now brings me on to the point of how socio-cultural identities can be adopted. In the time of old literacies, students and academics had little capacity for expressing and adopting identities. However, thanks to new literacies, identities can be expressed in different ways across various platforms. Parl and Roswell discuss the idea that spaces offer people multiple identities. In the digital age, students may network with peers and academics on Twitter, expressing their identities, which can now be supported by the use of other texts, such as photos and emojis, which can convey the person's social and cultural experience into the message. The way we choose to use these texts and who we choose to network with can indicate our membership of the identity we are adopting. This collaboration of social media and the use of socio-cultural identities conveys the value of digital literacy in higher education, as it gives students the opportunity to communicate with academics and peers they would have never previously had the chance to, opening up a new world of knowledge and opportunities.